Don't have Andy today. Andy's going to be he's out working on a project and he cannot pull himself away. So today what we're going to do is basically cover some of the automations that we're currently using inside of our agency, and more importantly, show you guys like the different things that you can use as far as the different tools and the strategies that we use to create automations inside. Now, we're not called an automated marketer because we don't know how to automate. It's actually quite the opposite. All of our automations happen within several different tools. As you know by now, one of our favorite tools to work with is Gohighlevel, just for the simple fact that it makes it really easy to keep all the automations all in place. But every now and again, we have to use a different software that connects two different softwares to talk to each other. So what's really cool is what we're going to do today is we're going to start giving you a quick little introduction to a tool that we use called Zapier. Now, Zapier is basically a tool that allows you to communicate between two different softwares. And it happens to be where a lot of automations can take place and you can automate a lot of your businesses. Now, biggest problem that a lot of people had, especially in the bigger companies, when you're trying to connect two softwares, right? Like let's say a contract software with like your regular CRM or your WordPress site, or even just your QuickBooks, and you're trying to just get a contract out to a customer that's about to sign something or that is about to pay for something. Though normally you would have to connect what's called APIs. Basically, it's just a real fancy word for a lot of coding that happens in between these two softwares just to communicate. Problem with that was every time there was an update on either or party of the software, it would cancel whatever you created, and then you would be kind of left stranded and none of it would work. So what we're going to do today is give you an introduction to Zapier, and then more importantly, show you some of the Zaps that we're currently using and how to build one real quick. So without further ado, let's just kind of get into it. So here is Zapier. And again, if you really want to know, it's how you can connect different softwares to kind of basically talk to each other. And I would probably be helpful if I shared my screen, right? So you can see what I'm seeing as long as I can share. There we go. All right. So this is Zapier. So as you can see, Zapier here, hold on, let me just get my bearings here together. Again, it's always good having a co-pilot. So basically, the way it works is you would come in here, let's make believe every time somebody fills out a Google, we're going to give you a real scenario. We have, we're hiring for positions in our company. And what we do is whenever an applicant fills out a Google form, we want to get notified in our Slack channel. We want to get notified by email. So what we're going to do today is basically create those automations to show you how you can connect different softwares, right? So I come in here, and this is Zapier. Again, $20 a month is, I believe, the actual minimal plan you can get. And what you can do is you're going to come in here, you're going to go to Zaps. And what's really cool, you can create your own in there, but if you're like, I really don't know what I'm doing and I'm kind of brand new and I kind of want to figure out what it can do, you go over here and you create Zaps. Now, the first software that I need to connect to is Google Forms, because that's where we have the application for the applicant. So if I type in here Forms, you see Google Forms comes up, and here, whenever there's a new response, the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go into our Slack channel, letting us know that we have a new applicant. So it's going to ask me to choose an account. Now I'm going to go ahead and sign in. So let me bring that off screen for a second. And as I'm signing in, it's going to automatically connect and make the conversation happen. So the goal of what we're trying to do is somebody fills out an application. I want to go into our Slack channel, letting them know that we have an applicant. I also want to make sure that I send an email to the applicant that we received their application. And I want to get a notification by email also, just in case I'm not on Slack, that I have a new application that I have to review. And that's what we're going to try to attempt to do today, right? So I'm going to come in here, and just so you guys know, like I'm just logging in on screen. And cool, it's got the forms connected. Now, hopefully I named this form something that I can do it. There's your onboarding, new employee application. Perfect. As you can see, it's got a new employee application. It's a form I built out on Google Forms. Now, if you've been following along, you can just type in forms.google.com and it'll actually pull up forms. Okay. And I'm on the wrong account, but let me just go to my other account. And you can see I have the new application right here from the employees. So what I'm going to do now is, just so you understand what I did, I just created a simple form with a bunch of questions. That was everything that had to do with, a job application involved in that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here in Zaps, and I'm going to build it out. So the first thing I do is connect my Google Forms. That was the first software that I want to connect to. And the thing that starts it is usually called the starting trigger. Now, think of it like dominoes. Whenever you're working with automations, there's always something that starts the domino and that kind of pushes it, to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. So here, the starting trigger, the starting automation is that somebody fills out a form. Now, when somebody fills out that form, I want other things to happen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I have the form connected. I picked the form that I wanted. Now, anytime somebody comes in here and fills out the form, as you can see, I already have one where somebody filled the form with a response. And all I want to do is get notified when this form was complete. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And now, since the starting form was that somebody filled out the form, the second thing I want to do is I want to send it over to Slack, because that's where a lot of us, my team and myself, are at. And I want to make sure I get notified. So I'm going to click on Slack, and I want to choose a channel. So I'm going to send a channel message. All right, I'm going to hit continue. And then in here, I'm going to select the account. Now, I already have Slack connected. So what I'm going to do is once somebody fills out that form, it's going to send a message to Slack. And now what's cool is I can pick the channel in Slack that I wanted to go to. Now, for all of you people that don't know what it is, Slack is basically just a communication tool that you can have that allows for instant messaging, sharing of files. It's a really good way to communicate with customers and even with your team. We use it for our team and our customers. And it just becomes really easy to just kind of go back and forth with. Now, I'm looking for a particular channel. Here, I can just search it also. Boom, there it is. And now you have a new application from, and what's cool is because I'm collecting the emails and I have the options, I can collect all the answers that are there. So we can say, okay, well, we have a person from here, application from that. And all I'm doing is grabbing values from that one software and I'm putting it into the other. That's literally all I'm doing. So you have a new application from, and here's the email address. All right, please go in and check. And the best way to go do it, I'm going to give myself a link. It should be here. Response ID link, attach your resume. So I can actually see the resume too. So I'm going to grab that. All right. And it gives me the resume because I make them attach the resume, and it gives them their email address. Perfectly enough for me to start reviewing that application. I just want to make sure I spell that right. All right, and it's going to send as a bot. Now, the bot name, because I want to make sure I know what it's coming from, this will be application. Let's not do all capitals. And all it's going to do is just basically send a message out. Okay. Again, don't know why it's all capitals, but let's try that again. There we go. Application. All right. And what's cool is I didn't know you could do this, but you can create little icons as long as the icons allow. Now, I know Bell is an icon, so it gives you a couple here. And it says, for example, if you want to do like a robot face, as long as it's an existing like icon inside of Slack, you can actually move it over. Include link in Zap, yes. Attach image URL, we won't need. And it gives you a whole bunch of other questions. And I don't want it broadcasting to the channel. I just want to be notified that it's going in there, right? So here you are. Now, if I wanted to tag a specific person, you could actually do that. I think it is over here somewhere, right here. You could challenge a group or an individual. Like, so for instance, if I wanted to tag a user, yep. Hold on. There we go. Okay. And then I could go ahead and continue. Now, what's cool is I'm going to go ahead and hit test and continue, and you're going to see it. It's going to drive my team crazy probably. So hold on. If I go to Slack and I go to our Rapid Advocates channel, as you can see, we have this right here, and a message came through, and it even says where it came through. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this, but it kind of gives the really good idea of what we have coming in through here. So it just pushed the information to Slack, but I kind of don't want to stop there. I kind of want to keep going with some automations. Right now, I said I wanted to be notified by Gmail, just letting me know that I have it. So same thing, I'm going to come over here and it's going to be send an email, continue, choose an email account. There it is right there. And give it a sec. Okay, that's weird. It doesn't let me continue. That's all right. We kind of worked through it. So far, new form response in Google Form, send it to a message in Slack. And then when you get that message in Slack, also send it in the actual you actually send it inside of a Gmail. Now, for some odd reason, it's not letting me send an email. So we're going to try it again. So sometimes these things with any automation and even with the internet today, it's been a little slow. Oh, and again, it needs to reconnect. So I'm going to pull this offline. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and connect it again. Beautiful. Hit allow. Awesome. And now it gives me the option to continue. Now it's going to send it. I just wanted sending it to myself, right? So to, rapid active rapidactivemedia.com, right? And then I'll CC my partner, Andy. Okay. And then it's going to be we're just going to leave. If you leave it alone, select an email. It defaults to your primary email address. So I'm just going to leave that alone. And then from name, it's going to be applicant. I usually put that applicant. And then the actual email address. And then subject line, new applicant. All right. And then I can grab, again, the email right from there on the subject line so I can see it. And it's like, you have a new applicant waiting for review. And I mean, you can go bananas. You can add as many things as you want. You can even label it inside your inbox. So if we had chat important, I can put an important on it. And then signature, if I wanted to send a signature, it finds my signature and then it pushes it all in there. And then if there are attachments, I can actually pull the resume from the Google form and drop it in here, which I think is one of the coolest things. And it just kind of sends the link over, and I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. Now, let's see if that actually works. That's a cool thing about this. You can kind of continuously test it. But just think about what we just did. Somebody fills out a Google form. Oh, I just got the email. Awesome. So here's how it works. Somebody filled out a form on Google, which was an application to a job. I sent a message in Slack letting myself know that I had an actual email waiting or an actual application waiting in the Google form that I got to check out. It attached the resume, and it also attached the name of the applicant with the actual email address. And I sent an email to my other company letting them know that, hey, there's a particular email there waiting for you, and it kind of connected everything else. And I could continue going on and on. So the cool thing about Zapier is that you can create multiple things that can happen. Like, for instance, now I'm like, well, you know what? I kind of want to get reminded on a calendar that I have an application to review. So I can come in here to Google Calendar. Haven't done this one yet, so we're going to kind of do it together. And I can create a calendar event. Or not create a calendar, actually. Quick add event. Actually, you know what? Now that I even do this, let's see. Can we do tasks? Google Tasks. That's what I want. Not a calendar invite. I want a Google Task. I want a Google Task letting me know that I have to check an actual So again, it's going to ask me to log into Google. I'm just going to take this off side here. And it's going to create a little task for me that's going to remind me that I have to check this resume. So if I come over here and I don't have the task list would be my tasks. Okay. And the title will be check resume for, let's see, to Gmail right there. And then due. Now, here's a cool thing on the due date, right? Oop. Look at this. Tomorrow at noon. That's pretty funny. I wonder if this can actually work and create a tasks. So the date, time, and fields. And what's cool about Zapier, this is again why this is so much better than the old way. The old way, you would have to figure this out all in code, and you would have to match these things and create the different codes and not doing all that. So you can do it where it's, let's say, tomorrow at noon. It apparently takes that. I'm going to hit continue. Test and continue. Let's see. That'd be so cool if it works with tomorrow at noon. I didn't know it could do that. All right, so I went to Google Tasks. Now, what will be really cool is if I see the tasks here for tomorrow at noon. See, I don't see it just yet, but I wonder if I got confused with the actual dates here. Oh, it did. It actually did. So, and I got like a little sidetrack because I was trying to figure it out. As you can see, this is my crazy calendar, by the way. But as you can see, it's got the task right up here. So how cool is that? So we literally went through a whole bunch of tasks just from getting a resume. And I can go ahead and publish and turn that on. Now, anytime somebody completes an actual form, this will happen. Now, why am I telling you this, right? The thing that everybody needs to understand is that when it comes to businesses, a lot of businesses struggle on automating their business because they just don't have they don't have it, like they don't have the organization of, like, remembering how to do everything. 9 times out of 10, when we work with a lot of businesses, even local businesses, they're out, servicing whatever their clients might be. They're out like doing the actual service that they're being hired for. And there's very little time to check on things that could be very routine. Now, for instance, think about what you just did. Somebody's filling out an application. You're sending a whole bunch of reminders out. You're learning team members. You're doing everything that you need to do in order to do that. Now, you can automate things like sending out contracts. You can automate things like check-ins. You can automate pretty much anything. Like even when somebody sends you a particular email, if you want to filter a particular email, that every time this particular customer sends you an email, that you're doing some kind of action, or you're putting it in a separate folder, or you're adding it to a Google Drive. These are all different things you can do inside of Zapier and other tools. Now, Zapier is just one of many tools. You have Integromat, you have Padly. There's a million and one tools that can do this. We like Zapier just because of the amount of other softwares that you can put together on here. There's a lot you can do just between all the Google stuff and the Google Workplace, Microsoft, and especially if you're really running a particular business, it comes great. So let's think about a particular business idea, right? You're a landscaper, you're out on the road, and you're getting a message from a customer that, he wants to get scheduled and or he wants to get a lawn cut, like for whatever reason at that point in time, right? And you're out on the road, so there's very little you can do, and you got to gather all this information. Well, how cool would it be that you send either a text message with a certain word, and it automates a response to that customer, or it automates a response to the system to send a reminder or to alert the office staff in a very succinct way that, hey, by the way, we have a customer waiting and they need some immediate attention. And you can easily create that with tools like this and even tools inside of Highlevel. Now, just to give you an example, a lot of the things that we design in Highlevel have to do exactly that, where a person fills out a form and they get an immediate response. The number one reason why a lot of leads that come into your business usually don't close, or they're not immediately taken care of, is because at the end of the day, they're not able to get an immediate response. With the world that we live in and the attention span being so low, if you're not actively engaging with your customer and pushing communication out to them, they're most likely go to someone else who is doing advertising and has a robust system. I could tell you that in the last probably like 2 weeks, we were looking for a plumber. And one of the best services I had was I literally I literally like went on a website, filled out my information. Within seconds, I was getting a multiple quotes. But what was really cool about this particular one is the second I got off the phone, there was an immediate follow-up. It goes, thank you so much. Here is your quote. And oh, by the way, here are the additional service we have. And I was like, wow, that was pretty impressive. Like, the quote was immediate and everything happened. But these are all the things you can do and you can build inside these automation tips. But I got to tell you, like a lot of businesses, again, the biggest failure point in businesses is usually in 3 different key points. One is they don't have an immediate response when a lead comes in. If you're running any kind of Facebook ads, Google ads, or any kind of ads in general, if I call you and you can't immediately solve my need or communicate or start the communication process with me, the odds of me going to somewhere else increasingly get higher the longer I wait, because I'm going to I just need to find that need, right? I need an electrician. I need a plumber. I need a mortgage person. I need a house, whatever it might be. The longer you take to get to me, the bigger the chances are that somebody else will. Now, if you have an automated response, whether by text message, by email, or even by a voicemail drop, it immediately gets me to engage a little bit and it satisfies that initial need in order to do so. Now, the second thing that people usually tend to mess up is the follow-up. I get off the phone with you. It sounds like it's a great deal. Guess what? If I don't hear from you within a day or two, which you get busy or out doing work, that immediate follow-up, I'll tend to go with somebody else because there's no follow-up really on top of that, right? And then the third is the onboarding. You can do so much with a proper onboarding sequence. If a customer comes into your service, your organization, your course, your anything, and it's a very seamless and very repeatable onboarding process, you now have eliminated like half the churn rate that exists out there, because people are actively enjoying working with you because they're having this incredible experience when they first come on in. And that's something that you want to recreate over and over again. And you want these things triggering where you're not the one doing the work. Because honestly, if you're running a business full time, the odds of you having time to create a very catered experience every single time and doing it manually, the odds of error and also you doing it over and over again the same exact way and not improving it is going to be very likely, right? It's going to be very stale. You're not going to get to it, and everybody's going to have a very different experience. Now, and in tools like this, right, in automations that we've built in and devised, everything from invoicing, to appointment reminders. These are all things that are constantly working. And I mean, we work with this tool, but pretty much any software out there right now communicates with Zapier, whether you're using Stripe, whether you're doing different things. I mean, we've built things in here in Zapier where, somebody fills out a form and it immediately opens up a folder and does all these different things. I mean, we have it where if a customer of ours pays in QuickBooks, which is our main processing, it automatically sends them a welcome email. It creates a folder for them, and it creates a project task inside of Clickup, which is our main project management software, and so forth and so on. And it can kind of go through. If somebody, again, we mark the contract as paid or we mark the service as paid, they immediately get a contract and they sign the contract and so forth. And we do it through DocuSign. I mean, there are so many different variables and things that you can do. You can look up appointments. You can do filtering. There's just a lot of different Zapiers that you can use, and you can push it along as often as you like. And these are the different ones that we've built. These are some of the shared Zaps that we do. And what's cool about it is if you come up with this once, all you got to do is to duplicate it. Is come over here on the right-hand side and select the 3 tools. Now, if you've been following along, right, a lot of what we've done for Miracle Missions, which has been the site that we've been working on for a while, you'll see, definitely having an off day with spelling, that's for sure. One more time. We can't spell. I think everybody knows that by now. But if you saw some of the automations that we built in the last session, you would see that even for a church, there was just so much we can do. We did, when somebody fills out an online form, all the automations, they get a tag so we can sort out the people that fill out the online form. The main office gets an internal notification. We send a big welcome email with directions, where they got to go, what time the services are. We send a text message also letting them know. And we even have a nice little voicemail that goes out that welcomes them to the actual church, which happened very seamlessly, and we ended up working on that. And then we even created a small automation that if they were traveling and they needed directions to the actual place, where all they have to do is text the number of the church. And as you can see, we have directions up on top, and it immediately sends them a link to their Google Maps that allows them to hit that link, and it will literally start giving directions based off that link and wherever they might be. So I just thought it was a really cool automation, but these are the automations that are going to make your experience when you first join anything incredibly seamless and incredibly well for it to go through. So, but this is just some of the things that we're going to be covering over time, and we're going to be building these automations one by one as we kind of go through. But I just wanted to give you like a very quick sneak peek of the different automations that you can create as we can create this, right? So everything from what you see here, driving directions, to actually the welcome that we had. Plus, we just came over here and we just showed you how to do a full application process for some outside applicant. And there's a bunch of other examples. So hope you enjoyed. We're going to keep it short today, but wanted to make sure that you guys saw that there is a lot to automate out there. You're going to create a seamless customer experience. And then more importantly, if you design the right automation, you're going to get so much time back, and you're going to create that awesome customer experience that every customer is looking for. So hope you enjoyed this one, and we'll see you on the next one.